I was recently reminded of a video I made earlier this year in which I attempted to put together the best 11 of players who represent national teams who aren't ranked among the top 50 in the FIFA World Rankings, and it got me thinking about whether I could make a club version. My best bet, as far as I could tell, was to make a best 11 of players who play for clubs who did not qualify for the group stages of the 2020-21 Champions League. Now, this was much more difficult than the international version to make, and much richer in terms of competition. Also, the talent at a handful of non-Champions League teams, from Spurs to Sociedad, made my initial drafts a little distorted and dominated by only a handful of clubs. In true HITC Sevens style then, I thought I'd make my life a bit more difficult for myself and hopefully the video a bit more interesting for all of you by limiting myself to just one player per club in both the starting 11 and on my 7-man bench. If you're a real saint, feel free to subscribe as your way of saying thanks, preferably before you start the video, because no doubt you will disagree with some of the selections ahead. I disagree with me a fair bit whilst trying to whittle down my final 18, so I'd be surprised if all of you didn't as well. Without further ado then, here is my one-man per non-2020-21 Champions League group stage club, best 11. Goalkeeper: Gianluigi Donnarumma. An easy selection for my original draft, but a slightly trickier one once I went to a one-player per club system, since it means there can be no place for Theo Hernandez at left-back or Zlatan Ibrahimovic up front, for example. I still can't leave Gianluigi Donnarumma out of my 11. I've been saying for a while now that following the initial fascination with Donnarumma, due to the age at which he broke through at AC Milan, some people seem to have got the idea that he perhaps hasn't quite matured or developed as hoped. The only reason I think that belief exists is because AC Milan haven't been in the Champions League during Donnarumma's time at the club, and it's a case of out of sight, out of mind, since the reality is that he is now already one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the age of 21. It's difficult to emphasise how rare a distinction that is, and at a time when most goalkeepers are still trying to break through into first-team football, Donnarumma already has over 200 appearances for AC Milan and more than 20 caps for Italy under his belt. Right back: Ricardo Pereira. Another inclusion that I flirted with altering after introducing my one-player per club rule. There are a handful of Leicester City players who could stake a claim to start, perhaps most notably the trio of Wilfried Ndidi, Youri Tielemans and Jamie Vardy. All three are forced to miss out due to Ricardo Pereira's inclusion though, who has been fantastic since arriving in the Premier League, and has been sorely missed by the Foxes throughout his absence, despite Brendan Rodgers having depth in the fullback positions now with James Justin and Timothy Castagne. Fast and energetic, Pereira loves to get forward down the right flank, and unlike his compatriot Nelson Semedo at Wolves, he has the awareness and strength in the tackle to make him just as competent in defence. Centre-back: Kalidou Koulibaly. Following a 7th place finish in Serie A last season, Napoli dropped out of the Champions League this season, and only qualified for the Europa League thanks to glory in the Coppa Italia last season. That meant the likes of Dries Mertens, Lorenzo Insigne and Fabian Ruiz were all in contention for this 11, but I think the obvious and correct Naples-based representative has to be Kalidou Koulibaly. The outstanding centre-back in world football, who isn't currently competing in the Champions League. There are plenty of current Champions League teams who have tried to sign Koulibaly in recent years, and a handful, including Liverpool, who are reportedly still interested now. Aged 29 and a 4-time Serie A Team of the Season inclusion, Koulibaly is an intelligent centre-back who is so strong and relentlessly diligent in his defensive duties. Centre-back: Anigo Martinez. Completing what I think would actually be an excellent centre-back partnership, I must admit that Anigo Martinez didn't make my starting 11 before I switched to a one-player per club format, but now that he's in it, I think the team actually has better balance all round. An excellent ball-playing centre-back who has better technique, vision and accuracy in the pass than many midfield playmakers, Martinez would complement Koulibaly brilliantly in my humble opinion, not to mention the fact that it gives us a left and right footer on either side of centre-back, which is always helpful. A graduate of the excellent Real Sociedad cantera, Martinez joined Sociedad's Basque rivals Bilbao for €32 million in January 2018, after the club sold Aymeric Laporte to Manchester City. Sensational for both Basque clubs, Martinez was comfortably among the best centre-backs in Spain last season, and he's a worthy inclusion in this 11. Left-back: Jose Gaya. Staying in Spain for now, there were a couple of left-backs like Sergio Reguilon and Luca Digne who missed out due to other players from their clubs featuring. But even without that rule in place, it's quite possible that Jose Gaya would have started regardless. Pretty much the only star asset that Valencia didn't sell during the summer just gone, Gaia, is like the glue that is still holding Los Murciélagos together from left back at the moment, and if they let him go, they are in serious trouble. A product of the club's own youth ranks, Gaia has already played 232 games for Valencia, still aged only 25. The complete modern-day fullback, who is brilliant at just about everything other than winning an aerial duel, Gaia has searing pace, a fantastic work rate, and he is a constant menace on the break. Defensive midfield. Declan Rice. Arguably the weakest player in this 11 at this moment in time, simply because this is such a strong 11, I must admit that probably my first 4 or even 5 choice defensive midfielders had to miss out as I prioritised other players from those clubs. There are other big names I could have gone with, William Carvalho and Charles Arangues came close, but I'm a big fan of Declan Rice, and unlike those two, he is only getting better at the moment. At only 21 years of age, Rice has already made 121 appearances for West Ham United, won 3 caps for the Republic of Ireland, and 13 caps for England. An excellent reader of the game who routinely snuffs out opposition attacks at West Ham, whilst also looking comfortable in possession of the ball, Rice's ceiling is a high one. He has formed an excellent partnership with Tomas Souček in midfield since the Czech international arrived in East London, and the duo are one of the primary reasons why the Hammers won't get relegated this season. Central midfield. Dani Parejo. Following 9 years at Valencia, Dani Parejo said a tearful goodbye to the club that is so close to his heart in the summer just gone, joining nearby Villarreal along with Francis Coquelin on a 4-year deal. It ought to be a criminal offence to lose a player of Parejo's calibre to your nearest rivals on a free transfer, and with Parejo at the heart of their midfield, Villarreal look like serious candidates to finish in the Champions League places this season. Among the best playmakers in La Liga for the last 6 or 7 years now, a league which is rather famed for its playmakers as well, Parejo is quite simply a class act. He might not be the quickest, but he reads the game well, his work rate is excellent, and his vision and passing is among the best in the business. Central midfield. David Silva. Sticking in La Liga with players who arrived on free transfers to Spanish clubs, who aren't in the Champions League this season, but will hope to be next season, David Silva brought a decade of brilliance at Manchester City to an end in the summer just gone. The oldest player in this 11, aged 34, Silva has shown no signs of slowing down at Real Sociedad. His energy and enthusiasm remains infectious, and his ability both on the ball and in the pass are phenomenal. There are 4 Sociedad players who were in contention for a place in this 11, including Silva's midfield teammate Mikel Moreno, who has also been excellent during the early parts of this season. All things considered though, if I were picking an 11 to get a result and my life depended on it, which is how I always decide tight decisions in these videos, I'd pick Silva. Right wing. James Rodriguez. Their fantastic early season form may have fallen off a cliff, but Everton still have some of the best players in world football outside of the Champions League. A handful were in contention, and I would take Alan over Rice were I not subject to the 1 player per club rule, but since I am, my Toffees representative has to be James Rodriguez. Quite possibly the most gifted player not currently at a Champions League club, Rodriguez is a sensational footballer who has lit up the Premier League since arriving at Goodison Park. Whilst he had his ups and downs at Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, he seems to be flourishing as the big fish in a smaller pond, and the fact that he is our 3rd consecutive free agent is evidence of how it's still possible to bag an incredible bargain even in the current market. Left wing. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Left wing is, without any doubt, the most competitive position in this entire 11. Just off the top of my head, there was Jack Grealish, Mikel Oyarzabal, Hirving Lozano, Wilfried Zaha, and Heung-min Son all for competition, and I've no doubt I'm missing 5 or 6 players off that list. In truth, without the 1 player per club rule, I would probably edge towards Son, partially due to his incredible start to the season contrasted with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's stunted start to the campaign at Arsenal. The Gunners aren't having a great time of things in the Premier League right now, and Aubameyang doesn't look quite as sharp or incisive as we have come to expect him to be. I should point out that I'm recording this video before the North London derby, so if he bags a hat-trick against Spurs before putting his Spider-Man mask on, I take it all back. Nonetheless, current form aside, Aubameyang is obviously a world-class forward, and he is far too good to have gone the last 3 years without playing any Champions League football. The score of 74 goals in 121 games for Arsenal, all things considered, and in spite of the sternest of competition, I still think the Gabonese international is the right choice on the left flank. Centre forward. Harry Kane. The fact that we hadn't yet had any Tottenham players swim with the fact that Harry Kane is by far the best centre-forward outside of the current Champions League group stage teams means the final inclusion in my starting 11 was probably rather predictable. Not only is Kane the best centre-forward outside of the Champions League, I think you could make a good case for him being the second best right now even if you included every Champions League team as well. Lethal in front of goal, Kane's journey to becoming Tottenham, England and the Premier League era's all-time top scorer has only ever been thwarted by injuries, never his own talent or application. The fact that he may still set all of those 3 feet speaks volumes about the man, and I'm not sure there's been an English centre-forward with a better mentality during my lifetime at least. This season we have seen Kane's role change under Jose Mourinho, and he is oftentimes no longer the most advanced player in the Tottenham team. Whilst that has seen his assist figures absolutely explode and his impact on games only further increased, he's still scored 13 goals in 16 games this season, and he was the first name in my 11 despite competition from the likes of Jamie Vardy and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who were left out in favour of teammates Ricardo Pereira and Gianluigi Donnarumma, you will recall. That is my 11, but do not fear, your daily HITC Sevens fix isn't over just yet, since we still have the small matter of the substitutes to deal with. My backup goalkeeper is Wolves and Portugal number 1, Rui Patricio, although in truth there was very little to split the former Sporting man from the likes of Fernando Muslera and Anthony Lopez, both of whom also play for clubs who are as yet unrepresented. My backup centre-back, who I nearly started, is recent Cagliari signing and Uruguayan legend Diego Godin. Godin made a slow start in a new system last season at Inter Milan, but I thought he grew as the campaign went on, and from a purely defensive perspective, he's still among the best in the business. Ultimately though, Martinez is younger, more athletic, and I felt he complemented Koulibaly better as a ball-playing left-footer. Finishing our defensive substitutes is a much-needed representative from Ukrainian champion Shakhtar Donetsk, and you won't be surprised to discover that they are a Brazilian. Uncapped 30-year-old Ismaili is an excellent left-back, so he's my deputy fullback. In midfield, I've gone fairly attacking, whilst maintaining some semblance of balance, since that's where the talent was. Despite the fact that Lorenzo Pellegrini has made the brighter start to this season, my Roma representative is his teammate and compatriot, Nicolo Zaniolo, who subscribes to this channel will know I'm a big fan of. Zaniolo is not just a brilliant player, aged only 21, but he's also incredibly versatile and well-rounded, making him a particularly useful option off the bench. He is joined by another versatile and gifted player, this time from the Premier League, and that is Jack Grealish. Capable of playing out wide on the left or through the middle, Grealish doesn't quite start given the enormous depth available to me on the left flank, but nor could I leave him out altogether. He has been among the best players in the Premier League this season, and he looks to be growing in confidence by the week. Finally, in the forward areas, my penultimate inclusion is another man who subscribers to this channel are well aware of my admiration for, and that is Everton Suarez, better known simply as Everton or by his nickname Cebolinha, which translates as Little Onion, and was given to him due to his resemblance to a Brazilian cartoon character with the same nickname. Everton grew into a real force of nature at Gremio between 2014 and 2020, and I had long been looking forward to his arrival in European football. In truth, an £18 million transfer to Benfica seemed like a modest fee given Everton's talents and the fact that he has already won 16 caps for Brazil. Tenacious, intelligent, and equally capable on either flank or through the middle, Everton hasn't started like a house on fire in Portugal just yet. But I suspect he will grow as the campaign goes on, and ultimately, he may be the spark that carries Jorge Jesus' side to the Primeira Liga title. Lastly, and my final inclusion, which was limited by the clubs I've already used, but still left me with the likes of Andrea Belotti, Andre Kramaric, and Gabriel Barbosa for options, among others, it is Belotti who I edged towards in the end. A fantastic professional with a first-class work ethic and a brilliant football brain, Belotti has been consistently excellent for Torino since joining the club in 2015, captaining them with distinction since 2017 as well. The scorer of 99 goals in 200 games for Torino in total, including 7 in 8 so far this season, despite Kramaric's remarkable start to the Bundesliga campaign, Belotti still takes this one for now. So that is it for today's video, but thank you all as ever for watching. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure to double check that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on for HITC Sevens. Oh, and you can also find me on Twitter or Instagram, where the username is just @HITC Sevens on both platforms.